Hey guys, SpookySmile here. I'm going to do some world record commentary on Dragon Warrior monsters for Game Boy Color. And in Japan, it's going to be known as Dragon Quest Monster, and we're going to watch a Japanese runner today. On speedrun.com, you can see this Japanese player is ranked number 1. There's also a Japanese leaderboard, which also lists this player as number 1. And their name auto-translates to Onion, so I'm going to refer to them as Onion for the commentary today. So now here's their video that they've posted on Nico Video, and this one actually isn't the run that's posted on the leaderboards for whatever reason. Maybe it didn't meet the Japanese community's criteria for being a valid run. I'm assuming that they did it offline and didn't stream it fully, which might be why it's not actually listed. But it's slightly faster than the world record time, and it's going to come in at 146.50. So it has a really interesting strategy, and I'm going to do the commentary in this video instead of the actual world record video because it goes through a lot of more high-level details, and it has a completely different strategy that's worth going over. So I'm just going to go ahead and play the video, and I'll do commentary as we go. But essentially, for the start here, it's just going to be a lot of talking and cutscenes, and I'll use this time to kind of go over what the game is and how it's played. So basically, Dragon Quest Monsters is a monster gathering game similar to like the Pokemon series. Instead of using like Pokeballs to catch Pokemon, you bribe them with meat treats instead. Now, you do get certain buffs to catching monsters for different scenarios. So meat is the easiest way to catch monsters. You just give them a meat treat. There's different tiers of meat, so some are better for catching monsters, and they raise like their tame ability, I guess, a little bit faster. So it's better to use the more expensive meats for that sense. But you also get a small buff if you've never caught that monster before. So at the very start of the game, it's pretty easy to capture monsters. You just encounter them. Sometimes you can just fight them without giving them anything, and they'll still just join your party. So the very first thing that we're going to get is a base monster. You know, it's like your starter Pokemon kind of deal, and it's just a normal slime. His name's Slib. He doesn't have very good stats at all, and we get rid of him pretty quickly, but he's going to help us at least capture our first couple of monsters. So walking on up Great Tree here, this is the main kind of like home or like town that you'll be doing some of your things in. And as we walk all the way up to the top, we'll get through this cutscene, and there's going to be NPCs in the way throughout the game, like this little guy right here, that are going to be blocking us from going to different parts of Great Tree. But, you know, this game, instead of having things like gym leaders and Pokemon, it has gates, which are the random outdoor areas that you go and capture monsters in. So the gates themselves have a set monster types that you can encounter there with set levels, or like level ranges, you know, similar to like wild grass patches in Pokemon. But the difference in this game is that all of the dungeons are randomly generated. So there's different templates that can be used to create these randomized dungeons, but to get from one level to the next, you need to find a black hole, which is just a black circle on the map. You fall down in it, you fall down to the next section of the dungeon, and then once you fall down so many floors, you'll encounter the boss. And you'll have to go through different floors throughout the game, and like the more difficult gates are going to have more floors and more bosses. So at the very start here, we really just set the text speed up to fastest, and then for safety, Onion goes and grabs 2 herbs from the chests over on the left side. Herbs are just general healing items. It's kind of like a potion. You just use it on your monster, and it just heals between, I think, 24 and 30 HP. So right off the bat, he gets a really close black hole. You're able to spawn on the same tile as a black hole, but it's very rare. And at the very start here, he's really actually looking for a specific monster to catch, which is this one right here. It's Draki. Now, monsters in this game can be male or female, and he does get a female right away. That's what he's looking for. A male is not going to be helpful because in this game you can breed monsters together to create new monsters. So, kind of different from the Pokemon series. Yeah, you can make baby Pokemon in the Pokemon games, but in this sense, you specifically breed 2 monsters together that are unalike, and you'll get a completely new monster. So he caught a female Draki specifically for breeding later on, and now he's just doing a little bit of attacking here. He just wants to raise them up 1 level. Now he's going to go down to the 2nd floor of the black hole. Or of the first dungeon, I guess. So the whole first dungeon here, there's only 4 floors, and then you fight a boss at the end, which is a healer monster. And the goal of these first 4 floors are you want to catch a Draki, and it has to be female, which he's already done. And you want to raise the Draki up to at least level 2. Level 3 is better, and you want your slime to be level 2. And that's purely just for damage concerns on the first boss. Now, you can only encounter 3 monsters here: normal slimes, Drakis, and anteaters, which are beast-type monsters that have kind of high attack early on, but really low HP. You can pick up an anteater in this first zone here. It does speed up the first boss, but you typically don't use them for the rest of the run, so it's not required for you to get it. Now, at the very start of that battle there, he did use an herb on one of his monsters, and that's just going to be to prep for the boss. He wanted to get max HP, and you can see here him grabbing items throughout the run here. He's just running back and forth here to try to level up his monsters. And actually the encounter rates in dungeons are going to be different depending on which type of tile that you're standing on. So think of it like short or long grass for Pokemon. If you're running on just like those white base tiles, that's the lowest encounter rate, and the big trees or those yellow mound things are going to be the highest encounter rates, so that's why you saw him walking on those. Here's the first boss. It's a healer monster. So as you damage him, you're just going to have to keep healing your monsters. He's going to do approximately like 7 to 10 damage to your monsters, depending on how strong they are. And you can see those little shimmer effects on the healer monster. It's when he's actually healing himself. And I'm pretty sure he has about 40 HP, and he can heal himself almost all the way up to full. So kind of sometimes you'll get really good RNG where he doesn't heal himself at all, and other times he'll just spam heal until he's out of mana. So this whole fight is just attacking him directly. You just want to keep using herbs whenever your guys are low so they don't die. But other than that, sometimes you can even let one of your monsters die just for speed concerns if you run out of herbs. That little effect right there is the critical noise. Crits on healer are very good. They help you speed through it. And he got a 745 healer to finish that fight. He splits a little bit differently than I do. But 745 is a really good time. The fastest possible you can do is just under sub 7, but that takes pretty much perfect RNG. So 745 is definitely respectable, and anything under 8 is pretty much a good way to see if you want to reset or not. A lot of fights will go like 830 or even like 9 or 930 depending on how slow you were in catching your Draki, or if you get bad RNG with herbs, things like that. But now that we've beaten the first boss, we need to unlock some more magical gates, so we can go catch new monsters and through the story. So here he's in an arena fight. This is the very first arena fight. Super easy. You basically just attack straight up the entire time. It's not all that difficult, and it doesn't cost any gold. So when he was going through that first gate, he was grabbing every item he saw, and he actually got lucky and got a warp wing, which sells for 75 gold, compared to herbs that you can find in the first gate, which only sell for I think 6 gold. So that 75 gold from that warp wing is going to come in handy a lot, and the warp wing itself as an item is also very useful, and we'll use them later on. So here you see him in the second fight. He's just attacking normally. There's 3 different commands that you can tell your monsters to do throughout the fight. So you can either have them charge, which is just like attack, use attacking skills. You can have them do mixed, which typically has like enfeeble type skills or enhancing type skills, but occasionally will attack, occasionally will defend. And then there's a third strategy that you can have your monsters do, which is just purely defend. So if they have any healing spells, they'll use those. If they don't, they'll just defend themselves, and they won't attack for damage, but they'll take less damage, that kind of thing. And then there's actually a 4th command, which is, it's called command in the English version, which lets you choose a specific skill or choose which monster of the enemy that you want to attack, whereas normally those targets are determined based off of a couple different factors of how your monsters interact with you and what personality they have, and different statistical analysis things. But typically during these early fights, you just want everybody to charge, which is just going to be doing attacks. It's going to speed up the fights for the most part. There aren't too many early strategies where you need to defend or do mixed or anything because you don't really have any skills yet. In order to learn skills, you do have to hit certain level points and certain stat points as well. So there might be a little bit of level grinding in here where Onion is kind of looking for a specific spell or a specific level point that he wants to learn. So now he did pick up a meat right away, which is great, and he reordered his pets specifically to abuse a glitch later on. Now, they're in the battle menu. You can either just click attack, which will automatically have your monsters do whatever they're already commanded to do, or you can do that bottom left action, which lets you change the commands of your pets. You can either change them to charge, mix, defend, or command. Now, if you back all the way out of that menu and you haven't fully selected it yet, like you haven't clicked A on the final screen, then the first two pets in your party will keep that command that you just gave them, but the third one will not. So that's why he reordered his pets to have certain pets in the first and second slot, so he can abuse this glitch to command them without actually clicking the command function fully. Now that does sound really weird, it's kind of a minor thing, but it is going to save him a little bit of time in certain situations where he wants to command his pets and use an item in the same turn. So at the moment, he's just attacking different monsters. He's specifically looking for a monster named Picky, which is a bird monster, and early on in the game, Picky has really high attack. So we're going to want to get the Picky in order to fight this next boss, which is going to be Dragon. So currently we have our Slime, our Healer, which is also of a Slime type, and then we have our Draki that we got that's a female. So leveling up monsters, grabbing all of these items that you can see, and we want to do our best to encounter Picky. Now, in this dungeon specifically, there's 4 different floors again, and you can only encounter Picky in the first 2. So we just finished the first floor, grabbed all of the items, and went down to the second floor, and that was a little grasshopper guy named Go Hopper wanted to come along with us, even though we didn't give him any meat treats, and we just denied him because we're not going to use him during the run. So we did find the black hole here, but he's going to keep running around, exploring this map, trying to get as many items as he can, and he still needs that Picky. So this is a bit of a time save for a future run. Sometimes it does take a little bit of time before you actually get the Picky, but he's just going to spend this time just leveling up and everything. And it's not exactly time wasted, because the next gate that we're going to go into after this one is so much easier if your pets are already leveled. You can go into it as early as having like a level 4 and a level 5 pet, or pet or monster. I'm going to use those terms interchangeably. But if you're all the way up to maybe like level 6, level 7, even level 8, it is going to save you some time, and it's not going to be nearly as dangerous. So leveling up a little bit here, not the end of the world, because it will save him a little bit of time in the next gate. So now here we have encountered the Picky. He immediately gives him a meat treat, and it's going to take at least 2 rounds of attacking to kill this Picky, and you have to defeat the monster before they're able to come with you. So he gave him a second meat treat here, because meat treats will stack the more times you give them. And then he follows it up by giving the enemy an herb, which is going to heal the enemy, make the encounter a little bit longer, but when you do use an herb on the enemy, it's like a plus 5% chance to catch. So you can see he's giving him another herb here because he wants the run to succeed and not reset. So he gave him 2 meat treats and 2 herbs, which is almost going to guarantee that he gets the Picky, and he does. So he's going to add the Picky into his party, and he sent our normal base slime home, which was Slib, our starter guy. Here is a special floor we got on floor 3, which is actually pretty good. It's a healer floor. You just talk to that little priest there, and he'll heal up all of your guys' HP and mana completely. But instead, Onion just went and saved real quick, and now he's on the 4th and final floor. He's just going to grab items and get to the black hole as soon as he can. Now, Picky is in the final spot, so we can't abuse that command glitch I was talking about earlier. So we're going to start this encounter here. First we have to talk to the princess twice and then talk to the dragon. And the dragon is what we're actually going to be fighting. So dragon will come along with us after this. But he does have that AoE attack that just hit us, which is blaze air, or fire air, I guess, in this case. And it does hurt a lot. So we're having our healer heal up all of our low guys, while Dracky and Picky just attack the dragon. That move right there is Sap, which Picky comes starting with, and it lowers Dragon's defense, so it's going to make it easier for us. Now, it looks like our Dracky did die already, but he's the weakest of the three, and we don't really need him, so it's fine if people die during this fight, just as long as we still succeed and get Dragon. So Dragon dies, we're going to give him his base name, and we added him into our party. And it's very important that we add him into our party right now because he has a fire skill. And we're going to actually use that fire skill by handing our dragon off to an NPC, and we lose dragon for the rest of the fight. But the NPC specifically wants a monster with a fire type move in order to start his barbecue up. Who knows why he needs to keep our guy, but basically we're just going to run down a couple screens here now that we're back in Great Tree. And we're going to give our dragon to this NPC, which is going to blow up his barbecue, and a magic gate is going to be underneath it. So first we're going to sell a whole bunch of items. You see he bought 14 herbs there, which sounds like a lot because our inventory is only 20 spaces, but we're going to go into this magical gate with a fairly strong boss with only 2 of our monsters. We're not going to pick up the 3rd one yet. So he sorted his inventory, he reordered his guys, and now he saves and he's going to go in. And this is the difficult gate I was talking about, where it's okay if your monsters are a little bit strong. And he actually did a reset there at the very start because he saw the map pattern that he got was a bad pattern. It was a 4x4 grid, which is 16 tiles, and he wants to be as close to the black hole as possible. So the smaller screens, like this one where there's only 2, are obviously going to be better for us when we want to get all the way down to the bottom of the dungeon as fast as we can. Now, because we only have 2 guys and they're very low level, we want easy encounters first. Like this guy right here, it's just a single monster, he's relatively weak, and it's going to level our guys up right away. So he actually got really good encounters. Now there is, I think, 4 different monsters that you can encounter on these first few floors, and one of them is a Crest Serpent, which is a dragon type, and the Crest Serpent is almost definitely a reset because he can poison you, he hurts for a lot, and he's really high HP. So down here on floor 2, we also got a pretty good tile setup. They're high encounter terrain tiles, which is what we're fighting. There's a Crest Serpent that I was just talking about. So we're just going to heal up as soon as we can. Pretty much every round we're going to heal to make sure that we don't die, because dying is effectively a restart, and then we'll go back outside of the dungeon. The Fairy Rat on the right is basically just going to do speed downs the whole time, which doesn't really affect us. We're pretty slow already, so we're just going to keep attacking as soon as we can and spamming those herbs that we bought from the shop. So this encounter is going to level us up again, and it's going to give us a lot of needed experience. We'll be able to rush the dungeon pretty quickly after this. So we killed the Fairy Rat, killed the Crest Serpent right away. You can see we leveled up to 7 and 8, and then 6 to 7. And by the time we get to the very bottom of the dungeon, we want both of our birds to be level 10. Now, in this game specifically, level 10 is a requirement for breeding 2 monsters together. And we're going to do kind of a special thing where we breed one of our monsters with one of a foreign master's monsters, which has different special requirements. But first let me talk about this room here. This is a treasure chest room. In this dungeon, I think there's maybe a 10 or 20% chance of getting treasure chest room, and it's one of the special room types that you can only get on floors that are a multiple of 3, which is going to be a unique rule that we're going to abuse later on a little bit. But he saved right before we went down to level 4, and you can only save either in Great Tree or in special rooms like that, which is kind of like a safety haven. There is one exception to that, which is using a bookmark out in the field. That will allow you to save as well, but we'll use that later on. So now, here we are just leveling up a little bit. You saw him running back and forth, gathering items. Throughout this gate, we're really just going to be gathering as many items as we can to sell later, because we need to hit a certain gold ratio by the time we're done with with this dungeon, and then we do another dungeon, and then we have to fight another arena fight. And we need to build up some gold for that. So he used an item in that encounter, he healed up another guy right now, and then he grabbed the meat on the floor. So we're going down to floor 5, and this dungeon has 8 total floors, so we're getting near the end. Just picked up some random gold on the ground, and effectively we're just grabbing items and getting down to the bottom of the basement here. This is another basic encounter. His 2 monsters are pretty strong at the moment, so there's no real chance of dying anymore. These guys don't really have too strong of moves, so it's not really a threat of dying. So I will use this opportunity to start talking about the boss a little bit, because the boss is going to be a Mad Knight, which has, I believe, 2 different skills to start out with. But the one we're most concerned about is going to be Massacre, which is a random attack that can attack any target, either any of the 3 of your monsters or any of the 3 of the opposing monsters, including the monster that is using Massacre, and it does huge amounts of damage. So Mad Knight typically will not use Massacre if you have both of your monsters alive, but he will use Massacre if one of them dies. So we want to keep both of our guys alive, and we want to use the skills that they've learned as we've been leveling up throughout this dungeon in order to enfeeble Mad Knight and make this encounter easier. So here he switches both of them to the mixed command. That right there is a sleep attack from Draki, and then followed up by a sap attack by Picky to lower the defense. And when the Mad Knight is asleep, he can't attack. So there is a chance that he will wake up when you attack him, which is why you'll see that he keeps sleeping him over and over. But you can only use a defense ability on an enemy 2 times before it maxes out. Both times it lowers their defense by 50%. So just keep sleeping the Mad Knight, make his defense go down twice. It's pretty easy to just keep attacking and he joins your party. And Mad Knight will already be at least level 10, so that's going to help us with the breeding later on. So now we come back to Great Tree. Mad Knight's gate was actually an optional gate, but we're going to fight Mad Knight instead of doing the 2 gates that we're supposed to in the storyline, because it's going to level up us faster, and we get Mad Knight as a strong companion that's going to help us fight this next arena fight. So here we are going to F-Class Arena, which costs a little bit of gold. I think it was 10 gold. But with Mad Knight, we're going to roll over the competition because Mad Knight is so strong. It's not really a difficult fight at all. There's basically no chance of dying. Even if everyone dies but Mad Knight, the failure rate of F-Class with this strategy is probably 1% or less. This second encounter here, the Mud Dolls on the left and right can use a dance type move that makes them harder to hit, so sometimes you'll just miss over and over, but it's not really a big deal. The Almajay in the middle occasionally will critically wound one of your monsters, but again, not the end of the world. It might make things a little bit slower, but it's still not all that difficult. This third fight has Mad Raven in the center, which can use a fly command, which will make them untargetable for a turn or 2. But 2 monsters on the left and right, pretty weak. Nobody really does anything strong here. I think you can occasionally be confused, which is similar to the Pokemon strategy where you'll hit somebody in your confusion. Sometimes it's an ally, sometimes you paralyze yourself. But we avoided that all in this encounter, and it all went pretty smoothly. So now, just from beating F-Class in the arena, we've unlocked some new gates that we're going to go to next. But first we're going to go and sell some items. So this is just a quick shop, purely just to get gold for some of our breeding opportunities and to prep for another gate later on. Okay, so one thing that we did buy there, which is going to be critical, is an item called a Beast Tail. Now, since the dungeons are randomly generated, and we don't know where the black hole is, for a speedrun especially, we want to get to the black hole as fast as possible, in almost all scenarios. The The few exceptions are if we need more items or if we need to level up some more. And Beastial will point on the map towards where the black hole is. Sometimes it's deceptive where you have to go all the way around in order to get to the black hole, but it's still very useful. So what we're doing here is we're talking to this old man who lets us breed two monsters together. It produces an egg and we hatch the egg. So here we have our Madpecker, which we created from the Draki that we caught initially, which was female, and the Mad Knight that we just got from the end of that last gate, who was male. And he's always male, which is why we need Draki to be female when we first capture them. So now we still have our Picky in the first slot and our Mad Raven in the second slot. So we pick up Healer from the farm where he was after we captured Picky the first time. We sent our Healer to the farm. So we're going to save here and go into this gate. Now this gate I believe only has 5 floors, and the entire goal of this is just to level up our monsters. So with our Mad Raven at level 1, he has a real chance of dying in this first encounter here. So sometimes you'll actually send, or you'll put Mad Raven on defense here and just let Picky attack the enemies in order to give them some levels first. But he did get a pretty easy encounter, so you'll see he's just going to get a whole bunch of levels here from level 1 all the way up to level 5. And Healer also leveled up, and Picky also leveled up. And by the end of this gate, we really want Mad Raven to learn Infernmore, which is an upgraded skill from Infernos. And I think it's level 11 that you learn Infernmore. So that's really the breakpoint we're trying to hit here. Picky can be whatever level. We also want Healer to be 10, but some strategies don't even level up Healer here. We're going to level Healer to 10 just for a breeding opportunity later on, and Mad Raven being higher than 10 will also be bred. Or at least in some strategies. So just keep attacking, looking for the black hole. We're going to need some gold for later on for breeding and for doing another arena fight, so we still want to grab items as we walk by, but if they're really far out of the way, this is a magical gate where we can actually skip some items if they're all the way on the other end of the room, or we don't necessarily need all that experience from the potential encounters that we're going to gain. This room is also kind of unique in the fact that on the boss floor there's enemies that we can fight. You just walk up and talk to them and they will fight you. They're relatively easy and they give a lot of experience, much more than a normal encounter, so it's pretty good in this gate specifically to just sprint to the end boss and fight all the potential enemies that you can there for a lot of experience. And you can do that when Madpecker is, I think, level 7. You'll still get enough experience to get all the way up to a level 11 if you fight all of the stub sucks at the boss floor. So you can see level 7, level 8. He's just going to heal up real quick and go down. Grab some more items. He should be pretty close to the black hole. He's going to skip an herb there. He doesn't really need it. Now, the Demonite in the center there has a skill called Blaze More, which occasionally can do lots of damage to you. It's not usually something to look out for in this gate, but in the Mad Knight gate especially, there's One-Eye Clowns and Demonites that both have Blaze More, and it can definitely one-shot some of your monsters if you're not paying attention. So the music changed, which means we're on the final floor, and he immediately goes into the black hole. We're going to fight some of these Substucks I was talking about earlier. They're going to give lots of experience. They do have the potential to sleep some of our monsters, so we really just want to attack them as fast as we can. He actually put him to sleep and used a defense skill, which is going to speed up a little bit, but not all that difficult. You can see some of our monsters are falling asleep with these little ZZ icons that appear next to their names, but we can just keep attacking. There's no real harm of dying here. And we got some level ups. So attack Substuck number 2. Put him to sleep, just attack. That 3 damage is from Healer. Healer has really weak attacks, so sometimes you don't even want to attack with Healer in these fights. the only benefit of having him attack is that the text on attacking is faster than the text on defending. So sometimes it's beneficial to just have everybody attack. Our HP is kind of low, but even still, these stubsucks can't really kill us. So we'll fight all 4 of them here. And the boss there is Face Tree, it's that giant tree in the top center. But we actually bought a Warp Wing at the store, and we're not even going to fight the boss. We're just going to Warp Wing away, and then fight the arena fight instead, which is going to be what unlocks the next set of magical gates. So here we're throwing our Warp Wing. We get healed up by the priest at the back at Great Tree, and we're going to walk down towards the arena. So for D class, we need at least 100 gold. So we're going to go sell some items first, just to make sure we have enough gold, and that we'll have enough gold for breeding monsters later on, because it costs a little bit to hatch the eggs that spawn. So selling items, looks like you bought a couple herbs, and we'll go fight the arena fight. Oh, here's something to note. We walked into the vault here, and he's going to deposit 2 items. So whenever you die, you'll lose all of your items, and there are certain instances in this speedrun where we want to fill up our entire inventory with various items just so we can sell them later. So items that we don't want to sell yet, but we want to keep for later, we can deposit into the vault now, because we're going to abuse a special floor later called a merchant floor, which lets us sell items for slightly more. So let's talk about this fight here real quick. We have our Picky, our Mad Raven, and our healer in this fight. Fight number 1, the Mad Plant on the right is going to be using defense increasing skills, and that wind that just went across the screen is that Inframore that we were trying to get from Mad Raven, from Mad Raven earlier on. I think I'm missing those names up. I think we have Mad Pecker. But anyways, fight 1 is pretty much just attacking for us. Healer can attack as well. But going into fight 2 here, you can see he has his healer defending. It's just to make sure your monsters are pretty much maxed as we go into the second fight. Now, the second fight has a couple skills to be wary of. The first is from the middle monster, which is Bird Blow, which does more damage to birds, and since 2 of our monsters are birds, it can definitely do lots of damage. So we're going to use Inframore to try to damage the monsters as much as we can here. And a lot of strategies will have Picky defend in this fight, because Picky is typically targeted by Bird Blow. If you have Picky and Healer both defend, then Healer will take damage but not die, and then Healer can heal Picky up later. But this battle isn't all that difficult, but you really want to end with high HP for the third battle, because there's a potential for dying there. So that you'll see Onion is trying to heal up his monsters to prevent that. Once you're down to just the gopher in the middle, you just attack. It's not too difficult. So here's the third encounter. There's a Rogue Knight in the middle and 2 Mad Cats on either side. Now, Rogue Knight has heal, so he can't heal himself, but both Mad Cats have about 100 HP, so you can see we do about 40 with Inframore, which is really nice, which is why we go for that skill. 2 Inframores and then a single attack to each Mad Cat will kill them. Now you see Picky died there. A lot of times I will just have Picky defend in this fight, because Picky will take a lot of the attacks, but really as long as our center monster survives with Inframore, we can just keep spamming that and eventually we'll get a win. Yep. So healer died there too. It's really not all that bad when your monsters die, as long as you still have 1, because it's less monsters attacking, which is less text, and it's slightly faster in certain scenarios. So now that D class is over, we've unlocked some fights, we've unlocked some more gates. So we're going to go down into the next set here. Well, first we have to deposit some monsters, I think. Oh, okay, we have to do breeding first, I forgot. So we went up to the farm, which lets us fall down to this arena location here, which is slightly faster than walking here ourselves. So we're going to talk to this monster here, which is named Goopy, and he's playing rock, paper, scissors with us. Now this pattern is set, so Onion already knows the exact tiles to stand on. This is the fastest scenario. And then a little staircase is going to appear with a foreign master up there that we're going to breed one of our monsters with. It's faster to save and load here as soon as the text goes for breeding the monster. So we'll go ahead and save and load. And then we'll go down here to do the same thing, another breeding cycle with another foreign master. And this time we're breeding Picky. So we bred Healer with Heroic Knights, I'm pretty sure, which is going to give us Rock Slime. And we bred Picky with Iceman, which is going to give us Blizzardy. Now, here we've gone to the Egg Appraiser, which lets us pay a little bit of gold to see if our monsters are male or female. So it's a bit of a safety strat that Onion's pulling here. You can skip this and just hope that your monsters are the same sexes, or sorry, that are opposite sexes, because we're going to breed these two together later on. But it's definitely safer to just ensure that they're the correct genders, because this can be a reset point for you if you didn't save soon enough beforehand. So we're hatching our Rock Slime, hatching our Blizzardy, and we're going to take them as level 1s into the next gate, which is the Battle Rex gate. It's the Gate of Anger. And as we go into the first few encounters, we want to be very careful with our level 1 monsters that they don't die. So typically we're going to have our Madpecker with Infamore, just spam Infamore or just be charged. Charging battle style, I mean. And then both of our level 1s are just going to defend because it gives them a better chance of surviving the first few hits. So since we are just trying to level up our monsters, in the first floor here, an encounter with 3 monsters is probably preferable to an encounter with 1 monster, or perhaps 2, just as long as your monsters can survive. So it takes a little bit of RNG here, and this can be a save and quit part, since we saved right before the Gate of Anger. So we got an encounter with 2 here. The giant slug on the left can kind of take a defensive stance, which redirects attacks onto other monsters, which can be a little bit dangerous. And the poison gun on the right does have poison attack, which you can see with the little skull symbol up here. Is going to cause poison to some of our guys. Now, one of the skills that we are learning just on level up here that came from Draki earlier on is Antidote, which you see he's using here. So a nice way of how skills transfer in this game is they pass down from parent to child, and then from grandparent to parent to child. So just as long as you've still learned the skill and the child's stats are high enough, you'll be able to learn the skills as they pass down through generations. So since Draki learns Antidote implicitly, we're able to pass it down from Draki to our next monster in the breeding chain. And we're going to use that breeding chain throughout. So Blizzardy did a little ice attack there. With Infamore from our Madpecker and Blizzardy's Ice Bolts, it's enough AoE damage that typically the rest of the encounters from here on out aren't all that difficult. This is floor 3, it's another special map. It's a maze that kind of transports you to different locations in the maze, but the answer to the maze is always set, so we just walk directly there. Now we're on floor 4. And this gate has 10 different floors, so you'll see him running around trying to grab items. This is the first gate that actually has some pretty decent items that we can gather randomly, whereas the earlier gates are pretty much just basic items. So he might peek different screens just to try to see if there are items there, because it's usually beneficial to go grab the really great items if you can see them. Other than that, we're just going to rush to the boss floor, because this boss floor again has monsters that we can fight for free experience, and they're not all that difficult, so it's pretty good just to rush and then get your last few level ups on the boss floor. And you can see during different intersections, Onion will pull up his map, which has that little arrow on it. Remember, that arrow comes from the Beast Tail item, so it's really critical, and especially long gates like Anger that has 10 floors. So here he peeked a screen. This is just to look for items. and you'll go down the black hole. Sometimes you'll peek another screen like that. But here's another special floor, which is the shop floor. And these items here that he's selling is just everything he's collected so far. Normally when you sell at like Great Tree, I think you get 75% of the item's cost when you sell it. But if you're out in the field and you get one of those special shop floors, like the one he just exited, you sell for 100% of its value. So those two items that we deposited in the vault earlier, we're going to withdraw them later when we're trying to specifically get those merchant floors, and we'll sell them for more money. So here he's just grabbing some more items. We're on floor 7, so a little ways to go, but all the encounters here are so easy now that our monsters are strong enough that you can see we can just two-shot that catfly. Grabbing some more meat items. Found the black hole pretty quickly, which is good. There are a lot of places in Gate of Anger where you'll get a floor that's like a 4x4 grid, which is kind of like is a maze pattern because the individual floors in that 4x4 grid can have openings on any of the 4 sides, so sometimes you have to loop all the way around if you get a bad pattern. So anytime you see a black hole within 3-4 screens is pretty fast. So we'll look to try to see how many long floors he gets here. So see, already he's on I think the 4th or 5th tile, so kind of slow, but he just ran from that encounter to try to speed it up a little bit, and he actually finds the black hole, which is great. He's going to heal up here before he goes into the next floor. And just based on how this tile looks, I already know it's a 4x4 grid, so this is 16 tiles, and he got it within 2, so that's really great. Music changed, so we're on floor 10. It's always going to change before the boss fight, so you'll know when you're getting close, which is good. Now, if we look at our monster stats real quick, we're pretty high HP. We did just get hit with an AoE, but the main thing here is to look at our MP. So we want our Rock Slime's MP to be as high as possible. Right now it's 47, and there's a walking MP stroll type thing in this game where every 10 tiles that you walk, your MP of all your monsters will go up by 1. So sometimes at the very end here, you might want to walk back and forth a couple tiles just to make your Rock Slime have a little bit more MP, because he's just going to be spamming heal more, which takes 5 mana each time. Excuse me. And the more heal mores you can get off, the longer you can survive in the Battle Rex fight, and the Battle Rex fight is actually kind of difficult. So in order to fight the Battle Rex, first we have to attack one of these eggs here, which has a Dragon Kid in it. It's one of the Battle Rex eggs. Now Dragon Kid can also do that defensive type move that Giant Slug could do earlier, which can redirect attacks, so it's kind of dangerous here. But if you just use the AoE skills that we've been using throughout this floor, like Infernor right there, or Ice Air, then you do like 70% of Dragon Kid's health and he dies pretty quickly. So we fought 2 there, and we're specifically trying to get a couple different skills. So we want to have Infernor on our Madpecker. We also want Sleep All on Madpecker and Defense on Madpecker. Rock Slime is basically just going to heal more the entire fight, so it doesn't really matter what level Rock Slime is, but Blizzardy, it's really good if you get Surround on Blizzardy, which he should inherit. And I think you need to be level 16 for Surround. Now, Surround has probably like a 50% chance on Battle Rex of going off, and it's going to greatly increase your evasion for individual attacks. Now, Battle Rex is going to spam Blaze Air, which is AoE, and it's going to do a lot of damage. So at the start here, we use Defense and another Defense to max out his defense loss. You can see we got hit with Blaze Air. And now we want to start healing with herbs that we have in our inventory, and we want Madpecker and Blizzardy to just keep attacking. Now, Rock Slime in the center, we did land a Surround there, first try, so that's great. Rock Slime in the center is just going to spam Heal More once our guys are low enough. And whenever Heal More goes off, depending on Rock Slime's agility, it's always going to pick the lowest HP target, or the one that's most significantly damaged. So, as we're spamming these different herbs, we want to make sure we herb a target that Rock Slime's not going to heal with making sure that nobody dies in this fight. Now, We will kill off certain team members at the end of this fight because it's a little bit faster and safer to dodge attacks. It gives a little sound when you dodge an attack that's faster than the normal text of like attacking or defending or using a skill. So Rock Slime died as its MP went less than 5 because it can't heal anymore, so we probably just did attacks with him. But our other two guys are just healing, or just attacking. So we keep healing Blizzardy with herbs, and we finally kill Battle Rex, which is great. That was a pretty quick fight. And Battle Rex gets added to our party. Or, sorry, gets sent to the farm, I think. Yeah. So you can see, based off Onion's splits, that he is a little behind, but he's going to make up a lot of that time later on, just with some RNG manipulation. And 55-12 is actually really good for a Battle Rex fight. Like, you can go maybe like sub 54, maybe sub 53, but 55 is definitely respectable, and anything under an hour is still pretty good, just because how RNG heavy this game is. So now that we've beat Battle Rex, it's a significant gate in the storyline, and Great Tree is going to grow, and new doors and things are going to appear, which is great for us. So first we have to do a little bit of stuff around town here. We're going to drop down to the arena. Or sorry, drop all the way down to the breeding chamber, which is that second little area spot. We're going to do some breeding. So now let's breed our Rock Slime with our Blizzardy, which is going to create Whipbird. And Whipbird is significant in the speedrun route because it grows fast, is really high HP, it can gain healing skills, and it's resistant to a lot of enemy attacks. So right there, 4 great opportunities to pick up a great monster. And a lot of routes will actually pick up a second Whipbird later on just because it's so well-rounded and it has such high HP that you really need all of those stats for endgame fights. So one of the things that the Great Tree growth opened up is a second Goopy over here that's going to play rock, paper, scissors with us again. And it's a different pattern, but it's still the same every run, so you can just memorize it. Once we beat that Goopy, he's going to open up another magical gate for us, which we're going to go into next. And if you see on the splits over there, the next split is S, which stands for S-Class. Now, we did F-Class and D-Class earlier, as well as like beginner G-Class, but the money to enter each of these classes goes up a lot, exponentially. So in order to fight S-Class, we need 10,000 gold. And if you've been paying attention to what we have right now, like, 1,000, we're not nearly close enough. We need a lot more really expensive items, and we're going to get some of those by going into this next gate. Now, we still have our Madpecker, and we have our level 1 Whipbird, and the goal of this gate is to level up Whipbird a little bit in order to hit a couple skill portions, like skill level requirements. So he'll learn a couple things as we go into the next gate. So fighting this first encounter is totally fine. And now we're going to start trying to force a special Forward Master. So there's different requirements for fighting Forward Masters in this game. You'll be out in the field and you'll see a person walking around that's a Forward Master. And all of them you can fight, which give different things to us. And we're going to try to force a Butcher Forward Master. And when you defeat a Butcher, he fills up your entire inventory with meat. And the meat is significant in the fact that the highest tier meat in this game is a sirloin, which normally costs 1,000 if you buy it from a shop, and you can sell for 750. But then later on, we're going to try to force with some RNG manipulation a shop out in the field where we can sell things for max value. So we'll be selling those sirloins for 1,000 each. As well as all of the other meats that we gain from the Butcher, like beef jerkies, which are the lowest tier, pork chops, which are second, ribs, which are third, and then sirloins, which are top. He'll also fill up our inventory with bad meats, which you can't sell, you just have to drop. But bad meats you can give to an enemy monster and will typically poison them. A lot of bosses are immune, but sometimes they're useful throughout the game. So what we did here, the requirements for spawning a Butcher are you have to walk at least 200 squares on a previous map tile, and there have to be at least 2 items on the ground that you haven't picked up. So he did a couple resets at the very start there to try to get that specific criteria. Then he used a repellent item, which made it so monsters don't appear, so he could walk his 200 steps safely. And then he used a bookmark item to say you're right before the black hole, so that you can go down a floor, check to see if a butcher is there, which is like a 50% chance after you've met the requirement, and then you can reset and look for the butcher again. So he actually found the butcher here. He's just going to attack normally. The butchers, all 4 master monsters are determined based off the level of your current monsters. So if you have very strong monsters that are still level 1 just because of the number of skills that they know, or they're inherently stronger monsters, then his monsters are going to be very weak compared to yours, and you can fight them pretty easily. Now you can see Onion posted some numbers at the bottom of the screen there. That's the ratio of items that he gained from the butcher. It's going to be a random set of beef jerkies, pork chops, ribs, sirloins, and bad meats, and we really want as many sirloins as possible. So we used another bookmark right before the butcher to save our game, and then we can reset if we fight the butcher and we get a bad scenario. So you can see here, he's going to reset again. I think he takes 3 tries in this world record attempt. If you can get it at 1, great, but a lot of times you'll reset on a butcher, 2, 3, 4, even sometimes like 5 or 6 times in order to get enough sirloins. Now, since we're aiming for about 10,000 gold, we really want a little bit more than that so we can buy some items from the shop later on, which is going to help us for endgame. So you really want to keep resetting until you get at least 3 sirloins. You can get all the way up to like 7, 8, 9, or even 10, depending on how many empty item slots you have in your inventory. And it looks like Onion probably got 8 here from the numbers at the bottom of the screen. So you're going to see he's coming back to Great Tree after he threw a Warp Wing, which he also had in his inventory. And now he's just going to sell a bunch of these items in order to get enough to buy items for the next gate that we're going to go into. So sell some items. Now that we're going into the next gate, he's going to buy more repellents so we can stop monsters from attacking us. He bought 3 bookmarks there, and he ensured that he had a Warp Wing. So we're going to do the exact same thing again, where we're going to force a butcher and then force a shop out in the field so we can get enough gold to fight S-Class. So throughout this short scenario here, you've seen we've only had 2 monsters, and that's pretty significant during this section here, because really what we're trying to do is we have a couple different goals. We want to get 10,000 gold, which is all of this item gathering and monster master forcing that I've been talking about. And we also want Whipbird to be level 16, because Whipbird knows a heal move from Rock Slime earlier, and abilities in this game level up over time if you make certain threshold with your stats. So it starts out as heal, which just heals the same as a normal herb, like between 24 and 30. Then it levels up to heal more, which has a higher MP cost, has a higher level requirement, and it also heals more HP. It heals the same thing as a love water in this game, which is approximately like 60 to 70, I think, or maybe 70 to 80, somewhere in that range, about 70, 75. But once you hit level 16, your heal skill levels up all the way to heal all, which basically just heals all of someone's HP. And HP in this game goes all the way up to 999, so heal all is a significant ability for the end of the game. We won't get that much HP, but we will get a lot. So what we've done here is we sold all of those sirloins that we got from the original butcher that we fought. You can see we have tons of gold right now because we sold 8 sirloins, and we got to that shop in the field by doing a specific set of events here. We walked into a gate after we saved. Then on the first 2 floors, we just grabbed items and went down the black holes. And right before going to floor 3, we want to force a special shop floor because it has to be a multiple of 3. So we saved with a bookmark and then went down the black hole and tried to force a shop. And that was specifically to sell all of our sirloins for more money. It's going to be faster to sell items for a higher value by forcing shops than it is to try to be forcing more butchers, because you have to walk 200 squares. You have to keep resetting for those item requirements on the ground. You have to keep resetting if you don't find a butcher. You have to reset if he doesn't give you the proper items. All of these things compound, and it's just faster to try to force shops out in the field. Now, in this gate that we've gone into, shops appear with probably 20% frequency, maybe 30%. So it's not terrible to try to reset, because resets are pretty quick in general. But since we only have 2 monsters here, we will get more experience because it's scaled to how many monsters are in your party than if we had 3 monsters in our party. And these are the 2 monsters that we really just want to level up as fast as we can. So you can see Madpicker has really low HP here, and that's on purpose because we want to kill off Madpicker here, try to force that experience gain even higher. So now that our Whitbird is the only member of our party that's alive, he's going to gain experience much faster. And we're walking in circles here to force another 200 steps for another butcher, so we might as well be gaining experience as fast as we can. So as we entered this gate, these monsters are strong enough to kill us pretty early on if we haven't leveled up Whitbird enough. So the amount of level ups that we've gained so far were purely from a single encounter in the barbecue gate, then we fought the 1 butcher in the barbecue gate, and then we entered this arena gate here. So the very first encounter in Arena Gate is actually really hard, and you have to prep for it pretty well. Typically you want to just keep charging, but make sure that you use the proper skills in order to damage the enemies enough that they don't have, like the Mad Gophers use Bird Blow on you, for example, or the Medusa Eyes just attacking you with strong attacks. So once you get past that first encounter, then your skills are leveled up enough, you have better AoE skills, and Madpecker and Whitbird together can fight the next encounter pretty easily. And then as you're fighting these first few encounters, if Madpecker dies, who cares? Whitbird will just continue on and can solo things, just with things like, or just with abilities like Ice Air once you're leveled up enough. So he's going to keep walking around here. You'll see his MP sticking up those 10 steps that I was talking about earlier, and that's going to be kind of significant because you can easily run out of MP here if you're just spamming AoE skills. But now that he's met his step requirement and his level requirement, I think he's level 15, he used a repellent to prevent any extra encounters. He used a bookmark, and now we're going to force the next butcher. So, okay, great, we got butcher first try, bookmark again, and we only have 3 items left in our inventory there, which was likely a beast tail, a warp wing, and maybe one other item that we picked up along the way. So, killed him pretty easily just with some Ice Air, some AoE. Level up to 16, which is the exact level we needed, so we learned Heal All, and now he's filling our inventory again. Looks like 6 sirloins, which should definitely be enough. So he throws a Warp Wing, and now we have enough money for S-Class. Now, because we're only leveling up 1 monster, which is Whitbird, this is actually saving a ton of time, a massive amount of time from any other strategy, and I can't stress that enough. I did some split comparisons for the next highest strategy, which is Bloody Mary on the English side, or sorry, like a non-Japanese runner that is pretty high up on the leaderboards. And this strategy of leveling up 1 monster as opposed to 3 in Bloody Mary's route is going to save 17 minutes, which is hugely significant for a run that's almost 2 hours. So it's really a great strategy, but it's going to make the S-Class fight that we're about to do really, really difficult. Incredibly RNG heavy. He's going to use a very specific set of skills and commands in the arena, because you actually can't choose which skills your monsters use in the arena. You have to choose either charge, mixed, or defend. So by training your monsters appropriately with their personalities, you can kind of determine which skills that they're going to use. So he did a little bit of personality manipulation during that level up section, where your monster's personality can change slightly depending on if you command them to charge, mixed, or defend in normal encounters. So every time you actually command them to do one of those 3 personality quirks, or one of those 3 battle commands, I guess, it lowers and raises some internal factors for your monsters that changes its personality. So we picked up Battle Rex from the farm here, going into S-Class. In the very first fight here, we just want to spam mixed for the most part. We want to put the enemy into sleep, we want to use defense on them, and we just want to enfeeble them in general. So that move right there is going to lower their attacking accuracy, and then the defense skill that we talked about before is going to lower their defense so we can attack them better. We do have Madpecker and Whipbird healing here. Whipbird's primary role here is basically to enfeeble at the start. Madpecker also enfeebles at the start, and Battle Rex just constantly charges. So Battle Rex knows just Blaze Air and one other move that we don't ever use. We didn't level him up to 21, which is when he would learn Scorching, which Bloody Mary does in his route. But Blaze Air is fine in this regard because we're really not going to be using Battle Rex all that often. Now, Encounter 2, very difficult. There's a very specific strategy we have to use here, and it's very RNG dependent. So they're going to be attacking us with some pretty strong attacks. So really, Whipbird needs to survive at all costs. Now, if Madpecker dies, who cares? But if Battle Rex dies, also doesn't really matter. But you can see the enemies are slowly disappearing, and that's because Whipbird knows a move called Beat. Now, Beat has a 50% chance to occur on Army Ants, which is just an auto kill. It has a 50% on Draki, but only 25% chance on Slime here. So you want to beat Slime, which he just managed on like 3rd try or something, which is pretty good, with Whipbird having high HP, because going into the 3rd fight here, Medable on the left knows Explodent, which does tons of damage. Robuster in the middle has Rain Slash, and Metal Drak on the right has Massacre. So we defend here with a move called Strong D, which makes it so we take like 1/10 of normal damage, and we just let Metal Drak massacre everybody. So he already killed off Medable, and he killed off himself by attacking himself, and we're just going to start enfeebling Robuster here so we can slowly whittle him down. This is incredibly good RNG so far. Medable died first, and Metal Drak died second, and we didn't take any massacre hits. Or I think we took 1 massacre hit maybe. So we're just going to surround Robuster, which is going to make him miss half of his shots. We're going to use defense on him twice so we can finally start attacking him. And we're going to heal ourselves all the way up to full with Heal All every time we get low. And we have to heal probably every like 4 rounds maybe, because Robuster misses so many shots. So we're just attacking very slowly for like 30 something damage each time, and eventually we're going to kill Robuster. Now, S-Class in general is the major reset point of this strategy, because it takes incredible RNG with Beat in the 2nd fight, and even better RNG in the 3rd fight with Massacre on Metal Drak. Because if Metal Drak massacres you, you are almost guaranteed to die. If he massacres Medable, he dies in 1 hit. If he massacres himself, it takes 2 hits. And if it massacres Robuster, it also takes 2 hits. So that's 6 potential chances there that you have to basically avoid with Strong D while healing yourself up if you get too low. Really difficult to pull off. You can see, yeah, obviously he has a Rainbow Split there. He saved 5 minutes because he had godlike RNG on this S fight. Now, even with perfect strategy, mimicking this appropriately with my own run attempts, it's not uncommon to lose S-Class 10 plus times in a row before you finally succeed. It's probably a less than 5% chance to win all 3 of those within 1st or 2nd try. So we bought a whole bunch of items right before S-Class. We actually got 1st try S-Class, which is really good. And we're going to save before the final gate in the game, which has tons of floors. And we're going to abuse Foreign Masters again by getting a Wizard Foreign Master. There's 28 floors in this entire magical gate, and whenever you fight a Wizard Master, he will transport you 20 floors, which is really, really great for a speedrun and almost required in a gate with 28 different levels, because the monsters in this gate are really strong. They will kill you almost, all the time if you're forced to fight them all. So the first floor there, he did like a quick save and load and found a black hole. Second floor, he's going to use a repel here so we don't have any enemies to look for. Now as we go through the second floor here, he's going to save right before the third floor, and we're going to attempt to get another special room. I believe it's a 10% chance in this gate specifically to spawn the type of room that we want. So he's just going to keep resetting here a couple times until he gets it. And this room is going to be a treasure chest room, but it's a special kind of treasure chest room where there's only one chest that isn't a mimic. The other ones are mimics. And in this game, mimics are monsters that you can capture, and they're very strong. So we're actually going to abuse some resets here in order to finally get a mimic room, and we're going to capture a mimic. Now mimic is great for the end game because he knows two skills that we need. The first is Blaze Most, which is a very strong single target damaging spell, which is going to do a lot of damage for us. And he knows Defeat, which is the upgraded version of Beat. So Beat is single target, which has that ratios that I was talking about. That's dependent on monster resistances. But Defeat is AoE and targets all of the enemies. So we finally are done resetting here, and what Onion was looking for was a 4x4 grid for 16 panels in order to spawn this foreign master that I was talking about. So we'll see what he's doing here. He spawned a repel. He just used a repel. He's still looking for that mimic. And he's just going to travel. Okay, great. He found the foreign master. He's going to go back and check this treasure chest just in case it's a mimic, which it's not. He didn't click it before just in case he had to reset. But now he's going to do another bookmark. We bought all of these beforehand with our 10,000 plus gold, and he's going to fight the foreign master. Now, the foreign master is just like any other master with his monsters. They're all pretty easy because our monsters are decently strong at this point, even though they're low level. So we're just going to kill that Blizzardy and 2 Phoenix, and we're going to get transported. And we did a save right before the foreign master, just in case we get transported to a bad location. And we actually got a mimic room first try after we fought the foreign master. So great RNG there. He put us right into the room we needed. And we did a couple set skills here to lower defense twice. And now we're just going to throw a meat at the mimic here. Now, mimics are actually really good for late game because you can capture one with a single rib, not even a sirloin. So you don't have to save a sirloin from earlier with those foreign masters, or like those butchers and everything. So it gives you a little bit of RNG room where you don't need like a ton of meat items at the end of the game. So we did send our Mad Picker back home because Mad Picker, really terrible late game, has really low HP and it's not going to survive. But Mimic has great skills, great HP, and high resistances. So you can see he has 296 HP, which is actually a really high HP roll. It can be as low as like 280 here if you capture a Mimic that's lower level. Now it looks like Onion has run out of repels and he was forced into an encounter here. He might have a couple left, but there's actually another monster he's looking for here. And this is unique to this strategy that Onion is running. A lot of other strategies will take Mad Pecker and change them into a Mad Goose for Lure Dance, but instead this Lionix in the middle is going to be our capture target. We're going to capture Lionix because of its unique skill set to try to use for the end of the game here. Now, Mad Goose is used in a lot of different strategies for the ability Lure Dance, which prevents the enemy from attacking at all for one turn. So for endgame bosses that do tons of damage, Lure Dance is really significant and can buy you lots of free turns for free damage. The Lionix strategy is a little different because it relies on the ability Surround, which lowers enemy accuracy, I think by 50%. So all of these like single target attacks that some of the endgame bosses are going to be using on us have a much lower chance of hitting, so we'll have more time to attack, more time to defend, more time to heal. Lionix has another ability for healing that's really great, which is called Heal Us, which is like a love water on all 3 of your monsters. It's the same thing as a Heal More, except on 3 different on 3 different monsters instead of like Heal All, which is only on a single target. So we let Battle Rex die in that encounter because we're actually replacing Battle Rex with Lionix. So now we have 2 healers, one with Whipbird that has Heal All, sorry for the dog, and another with Lionix that has Heal Us. Meanwhile, our Mimic on the side is going to be doing a lot of damage with things like Blaze Most and just normal attacks later on. And we actually got pretty lucky here with a foreign shop, so we spent all the rest of our gold, since this is end game, to just buy healing items, which is really great actually. It's another really good set of RNG that we got. Chiba. Alright, music changed. We didn't use a bookmark before this final encounter here, which is a little bold. Sometimes you want to bookmark here, but he might have been out of bookmarks. But this is a triple fight that we're going to do for the endgame boss fights here. This first one is 2 servants, which are normal monsters that you can actually capture if you drop like 2 sirloins on them, 2 or 3. And they have really strong AoE skills and single target skills. But depending on how our party is set up here, with Whipbird in the first spot, it's actually going to force them to use their AoE skills instead of their single target Blaze Most, which has the chance to kill certain monsters. So we can actually kill these servants with 2 Blaze Most each from Mimic on the side, and Whipbird can just defend. We don't really need to tax ourselves with extra attacks here. You can see Lionix just did Heal Us. And we want to be pretty high HP for the second fight in a row here, in the storyline, which is Terry. Now, Terry has been following us around a little bit. He's part of the storyline. It's supposed to be like a darker form of ourselves because the default name for us is Terry. But he is, the main move that he's going to be using here is called Rain Slash, which is effectively a normal attack on all 3 of our monsters. Now, we're going to counter this by using Surround, like I talked about earlier, healing as needed, and using our Blaze Most skill from our Mimic. Give me a second for the dogs, and you can watch this fight. Alright, Terry has a lot of HP, so this fight actually takes a long time. And one thing to note about this strategy is MP fatigue, because as you're casting all of these spells, you're using a lot of MP, and for the next fight, the third fight in this little trio, you're going to run out of MP pretty reliably. So if you have a potion that you might have bought from the shop that we found earlier, great time to use it is in the second fight, or even earlier in this Terry fight to prep for the last fight. But also an Elf Water, which fully restores MP. Really great to have. You pretty much have to find one throughout some of the magical gates that you were running throughout the route. So it's kind of hard to get one. That right there was Vacuum Slash from Lionix. You don't really want to use Vacuum Slash just because it's low, kind of low damage, and it costs a little bit of MP that you'd rather be using for Heal Us, but not the end of the world. So we're going to keep fighting here. It does take a long time to take down Terry just because of his high HP, and we really don't want anyone to die here. So going into the final Durin fight here, the final boss, is kind of bad to have Mimic at 12 HP. So it's going to take some more good luck in order for us not to have Mimic die, because Mimic does a lot of our damage in this fight. So here we are. It looks like we're going to use like a World Dew, which heals all of our guys up to max, and we use defense there at the very start from Whipbird, along with a Blaze Most from Mimic. Now Mimic and Lionix are both out of MP, so our Whipbird is going to be doing the majority of the enfabling here, and Lionix and Mimic are just going to keep attacking. Now, Whipbird has to cast all of our spells, so we cast defense twice, then we set him to mixed, which is going to try to use Surround on Durin, which we missed twice in a row now, and Mimic died, now Linux died. We finally landed a Surround. Now, it might seem like we're in a bad spot, but we used a World Leaf right there on Linux to bring him back to life, and another World Leaf to bring Mimic back to life, full health. So, really great that we had enough gold left over to buy both of those from that shop we found at the very end. So, these like boosting sounds that you're hearing are Whipbird using the increase skill, which ups our defense of all three of our guys, which is really great in this fight with the low accuracy of the boss thanks to Surround, that our defense is going to be so high that the boss can attack us multiple times and we still won't die. Now, the skills that the boss knows here, the two main ones to look out for are Bird Blow, which is going to do crazy amounts of damage to Whipbird, which is why it increases so great, and Drac Slash. So Drac Slash pretty much makes it so if we brought Battle Rex to this fight, for example, Battle Rex dies effectively in one hit. Like, it doesn't really get us a whole lot of stuff. Chiba! Chiba, come here. Go, Kylie, go. Alright, let me close my door real quick. So we're still executing the same strategy here. And we finally beat Durin at the very end. So, same strategy. Finally beat Durin. Everything's great and fine and dandy. So those three fights in a row there, if you're properly prepared with things like World Dews, things like World Leafs, to properly heal and revive your guys, it's really not all that difficult. It's not so bad. S-Class is really the big resetter of this entire run, especially running this route, because you're very weak for S-Class if you don't have like a Mad Goose or even a second Whipbird to help you out. So, now that S-Class is over, we have to do the Starry Night battle, which is the final arena fight, final fight of the game. Now that all of the magical gates are over with, we don't have to fight any monsters out in the field, and there's no gold requirement, so we don't need any gold, don't have to farm anything. So we did a reorder here, and this is purely to affect enemy RNG. Because enemy RNG, depending on which skills they want to use, is dependent on the first party member of your party. And they're going to use skills that are most effective on that party member. So if we want to force them to use skills that, let's say like just do a little bit of damage or just attack us a little bit, then we want to switch some party members around. So during this first fight, we just attack and damage them for the most part, and we want to end in high HP. And you'll see sometimes like defeat or beat will go off from either Whipbird or Mimic, because they both know it. And this fight is super easy. It's kind of hard to die on this first fight. You just keep attacking, keep healing, and keep using defeat. Now the second fight is kind of critical in the fact that you want to end in high HP, and that's kind of hard to do. Because you want to go into the final fight with as much HP as possible, and you want Whipbird and Mimic to be basically max HP because of another move that's going to go off. So this fight has Unicorn in the center that knows Revive and Heal All. So it's really great if you can kill Unicorn early. The Mad Dragon on the right knows Massacre, which he doesn't use all that often, but it can put a kink in your plans. And the Adrenal on the left knows Poison Hit, which also like really sucks if your guys get poisoned. You don't have a free turn to use Antidote on them, or even if you forgot Antidote throughout the game. So killing this Andriel without getting poisoned is ideal. But you can see right there he got poisoned twice because of the poison air that Andriel blew. So kind of sucks. I don't know if he's gonna use the Antidote here, but okay. He killed him with a defeat, and we're gonna go into the final fight here. Now, the main thing about the final fight is Rainhawk in the center. It was the strongest move in the game. It's called Mega Magic. You expend all of your NP in order to do pretty much that much damage to the enemy. So we want Mimic and Whipbird to be so high because Mega Magic does so much damage. It will basically one-shot you unless you're max HP. So for Mimic especially, we'll likely take like 280 damage. But Whipbird can survive here if we click defend on him, and he'll use strong D. So that's Mega Magic right there. It killed Mimic and Lionix, and we only have Whipbird left. But now Metal King on the left is going to spam Zap, which is going to do approximately 50 damage per turn. Kodal in the center usually just attacks. He also knows Evil Slash and Bolt Slash, I think, which says Evil Slash will basically kill you, Bolt Slash just a little bit, and Rainhawk on the right, since he's out of MP, is just going to keep attacking. So the strategy here is to defend if we're about to die. If we're high HP, we use Defeat to try to kill Kodal and Rainhawk. It's a 25% chance on both of them. So we got pretty good RNG right there with 3 or 4 tries, it looked like, in order to kill both of them. And now that it's only down to Metal King, we only hit him for 1 damage each turn, but I think he only has like 12 HP. So if you finally manage to get all the way here, and you rely on Defeat to kill both Kodal and Rainhawk at 25% chances, Whipbird can solo Metal King as long as you have enough MP to keep healing. So we've made it all the way to the end here. Now it's just a slog of trying to hit Metal King because his agility is also really high, so it's hard to hit him. And there we go. We finally beat the final fight of the game at approximately 1 hour and 40 minutes. There's a little bit of endgame epilogue stuff here, which is going to take up a little bit of time, approximately 5 minutes, and the credits are going to roll. So the timer ends at the final input of the game, which is when the screen appears after the credits asking you if you want to save. But everything until then is just credits are going to roll, so we'll just sit back and watch. So if you made it this far, thanks for watching all of my commentary. Thanks for putting up with my dogs. You can hear them barking in the background. If you have any questions on this video, there might be things that I missed. I know I talked a lot, but there's a lot of small nuances. Maybe I missed something. Let me know. Drop me a follow on Twitch if you want to see me put some runs together for these kind of things. I'm going to do more commentary in the future. If there's another game you want me to commentate over, let me know. I'll do my research. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'm just going to let the credits roll. Thanks.